Hi everybody, this is Coach Mick, and in today's quick tip, I'm going to tell you why you need to scratch the word back scratch out of the motion when it comes to learning how to serve properly. Now, one of the things that has frustrated me the most about watching people try to learn how to serve is when they start in what we call this back scratch position. Now, when we start in this back scratch position and we throw the ball way up there, guess what? Your racket is the farthest point away from the ball as it can be, which means it's going to be tougher for you to make contact with the serve in the same place every time. Also, when we start in this back scratch position, when you throw the ball up in the air, to get any kind of racket head speed, you're going to have to muscle that racket through to get the racket head speed that you desire in a serve. And that's going to take away from consistency and control. All right, now in today's quick tip, we're going to show you how to take the racket back more efficiently so you can get faster racket head speed, more accuracy, and more consistency, which in turn makes it a lot more fun for you. Now, one of the best ways to learn this is to either throw a baseball, a tennis ball, and one of my favorites is a football. But when you learn to throw a football, you don't learn to throw a football back here like this and then throw it, because you're going to lose a lot of accuracy and a lot of control. The way we properly learn how to throw a ball is to keep the ball over here behind their ear. So when I turn, then my racket, or my hand in this case, will drop back and accelerate forward a lot faster, giving me less movement, making it more efficient, and giving me more control and more accuracy. Now, when we serve, it's the same thing. If I start with my racket behind the back and I throw the ball up high here, I have to go find it. Yes, I can still hit a pretty decent serve, but I'm going to have to move the racket a lot more, muscle it through, losing control and losing accuracy. If I can keep the racket up like this, let's say like I'm raising my hand in class, when I throw the ball up, when I rotate forward, that's when my racket will automatically drop into what we call the back scratch position, away from our back, and give us more racket head acceleration. It looks like this. All right, so you see where my racket moved less. It still did drop in the back scratch, but it back scratched on its own. So the tip for you is to make sure when you come through in your motion that you keep your arms up. And I'm going to show you a few pictures of this so it'll make some sense to you.
All right, now we're going to look at some of the playing pros out there, and we're going to start with Roger Federer here. And you'll notice that as his weight loads down, his racket is still up. His racket is not back here behind his back somewhere. It's still up, and that's very important because the racket's actually going to be the last thing to go instead of the first thing, which a lot of recreational players do that I see out there in the tennis court. And then you'll see here as he launches up into the ball, all right, he's going up, you'll see that his racket finally drops down. So his legs started to go up, all right, his chest is shooting up, and then his racket is going down, and you'll see this nice big space right here. So he's not actually scratching his back there at all. What he's really doing is keeping that more away from his body, and that's going to help him get more acceleration. Now our next pro here, you'll see, who is it? John Isner. All right, once again, you'll see as he loads down, his racket is up. Okay, so it's opposite. And then you'll see that when he starts to launch up into the ball, he launches with his legs, and then his chest is going up into the ball, and then his racket drops. So that comes after, once again. You'll see this distance here between his racket and his body. It looks really good. Now our next photo here is of Serena Williams, and you'll see as she's loading down, her racket is up, her arms also up, which is important. That's very good. And then after she launches up with her legs and then her chest is coming forward, her racket then drops down behind her back. And once again, it's hard to see from this angle here, but she does keep her racket away from her body there. Now the next photo is of Verdasco here, and this is just a great looking photo. And once again, you'll see that the weight is loaded down, all right, and the racket is up, all right. And then as he starts to launch up into the ball, starting with his legs and then his chest, his racket drops down, and we see this space in there. So his racket is dropping down after, right, the legs, and after the hips rotate, and after the shoulders rotate, then the racket's coming down. And it's kind of the same thing you see with professional pitchers here. I've got a picture of a baseball player where you see that, all right, his shoulders right here are already facing home plate, but his hand is still up. And what you'll see is right after his shoulders have gone through, and it's going to be right after this action here, his hand is going to drop and go through. But that's well after his body already rotates. His hand is the last thing to go. And it's very important that we understand this, because there's a sequence of events that has to happen from the ground up, and we call that in tennis the kinetic chain. And if we break the chain or start one of the links from the ground up in the wrong order, then that basically erases everything that we've done from that point forward. So it's important that we go from the ground up. So it's legs and hips and shoulders, and then that racket drops down, and then we let it come up and come through.
Now you can see from the pros that when they load, their racket face is not down, it's not back here, their racket is up. And when they push off the ground, that's when their racket face will drop on its own. By forcing the racket back in the back scratch position, we're making it a lot tougher for you to be successful on your serve. Not only in our serve, but in our ground strokes as well. When we take the racket back more efficiently, we're going to get more racket head speed, more consistency, and more control. So we hope this tip will help you take your game to the next level.